morning, y'all. I just, for a second, I think I'll flip it around and show that. Oh, it's so zoomed out, on the camera. It looks a lot prettier. But I see it with my eye, it looks a lot closer. So I knew, North Africa, Mediterranean area, above the Sahara Desert, totally different region, totally different culture, totally different types of people. Then below that barrier, the Sahara Desert. And the Muslims had come into Africa, and they had built mosques and 2-story buildings and all. But I got to stand corrected, because there were West African kingdoms that had 2-story buildings. They didn't have many, but even in developed countries, most buildings are not. Most houses are going to be 1 story. And Africa is a very big continent. So, just how in Europe and Asia, you have places where there's powerful nations and places where there's weaker nations or undeveloped nations. The same is true of Africa. So that region where nothing has been invented, the tropical rainforest of Africa. I was watching this video, and they're talking about all the shorter hunter-gatherer peoples of Africa. And they were talking about their DNA and how they independently adapted to shortness by different gene markers, different methods. I forget the way it is, the difference between East and West, but on one side, they're born normal sized, and they just grow slower. As they get older, they just grow slower and slower, and that's why they're short. And on the other side, they're just always scaled down, shorter, maybe some type of dwarfism or something. But something happened where the rainforest of Africa almost went away way back in time, and there's a bunch of little pockets of it. And all these different forest tribes are centered around basically the central points of those pockets of rainforest that remain. And maybe there was a lack of food because of that, and that's why they adapted to get smaller. And then the rainforest fills back in, and they're all connected again and trading with one another and whatever. But these people have a lot of knowledge about the stars in a lot of places in Africa, where you wonder why, how, where's their observatories? And I'm thinking, and I've said this before, but I'm just thinking that if you was to be able to see everything in the past, and you could rewind fast enough that you would get to this point to where you see that there was a great civilization and it collapsed, and you lost a lot of people. You lost a lot of people that had the former knowledge, but some people still retained it. It passed down in tradition. India has these temples that we can't build today, and either the Indians didn't build them or they did build them, but they went backwards in technology. And I think it's kind of hard for me to say this and not sound like a fool, because at the same time that technology is advancing and they've got all this AI software to predict what we'll do in the future, I still think that we're about to see technology starting to go backwards because of a massive collapse of labor force. And a lot of the really there's a lot of jobs that only older people have, that younger people had no interest in getting into. There's certain special skill sets that can be lost forever with the death of a generation. And a lot of world trade is dependent upon the dominance of the U.S. Navy to secure it. And it seems like, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's like addicted to power, if they're like working for the devil, if they're retarded. A lot of people in the American government seem to want to escalate conflict with Russia, maybe over past grudges. I don't really understand the reasoning behind it, unless it's just they bucket too much on the banks. But I don't even believe that's true. There's a lot of conspiracy videos floating around, and I used to kind of be of the opinion that Putin was trying to break off from the one world government, but I think he's just fighting for a bigger piece of the pie. Don't really think that they're separate from the Rothschilds. And I kind of suspect that Putin may be a crypto Jew himself. Nice steering wheel. Oh, thank you. I don't have one of those. There's these things that clip to your phone that can stick to a part of your car. I don't have one of those. So where the steering wheel is connected to the wheel, I'm just balancing the phone on the top. I'm holding onto the corner of the phone now because I'm making a sharp left turn that would normally throw the phone into the floorboard. But what I said earlier, I'll just say it again. I take that back about there not being two-story buildings before the 13th century in West Africa. They weren't many. They were mostly king's palaces and stuff. But they did make it. So I was wrong about that. I was really just copying what I had heard. This guy's going so fast up the stop sign. It doesn't look like he did stop, but I don't know if he would have stopped if I would have pulled out. Not a lot of traffic comes from that way. He might be used to running it. I done lost my lighter somewhere. Shit. I'm trying to remember what they're called. There's a tribe in South Africa and in kind of northern West Africa that both have like a really complex understanding of the stars. And it seems kind of out of place. So I think probably a remnant of a greater civilization. I think a lot of things go in cycles. This was a bad time for me to drop my lighter here in the floorboard. It's a really curvy road. Yeah, I'll just switch to coffee. Good morning, y'all. This coffee tastes a little different. It tastes a lot different. I guess sorry about that, y'all. I think that creamer is probably sat there forever because nobody's buying the coffee anymore from First Choice, and maybe it's gone bad. Or, I don't know. Maybe it's all right to drink. I don't want to lose my coffee. It's kind of like it's had like a little bit of like cereal soaking in the coffee. Give it some type of taste. Maybe I just don't remember what hazelnut tastes like. It's supposed to taste like this. It'd be almost miraculous if I make this turn without holding on my phone and the phone will fall off the steering wheel. See, they got all these solar panels up everywhere now. They put up solar panels and dimming the sun at the same time. They said we got to reduce global warming. They're doing all this cloud seeding on the path of the sun. It's really kind of crazy. They really need to get together. You know, you can't have them trying to reduce global warming by dimming out the sun at the same time. They're trying to reduce CO2 by having solar panels. It's like almost wonder if they're doing it on purpose. Like, they probably don't even believe anything. They probably don't even believe there's a problem with CO2 emissions or global warming. That's just what they're telling us. They're getting us to switch to all these solar panels and dim the sun for some kind of they want population reduction. And if they really, really, really want population reduction, they can cut the power grid for a while and everything breaks down. Just imagine a year of no electricity anywhere in the world. And then you're sitting in a bunker under the ground with electricity and AI robots and all kind of technology and an ark of like embryos that can grow every animal and human and all. You got all the seeds stored in Greenland. So you feel like you got like everything stored up, you and your elite noble buddies. And you're just like, there's too many people up there to control anymore. But we've already let them have freedom and grow to the numbers to be able to give us this technology to be the wizards in the next stage. And then they just flip the switch. Everything goes to chaos, everything goes to the Stone Age, and then they reinsert themselves as the God Kings. Or everything just keep on keeping on like it's always been, keep on keeping on. We keep hearing doomsday scenarios. Nothing much ever comes of it. That's like wishful thinking, though. It does seem like it's always been that way. Everybody predicts some kind of cataclysm. Everything's fine. Everything just keeps on going. But we can't really ignore the fact that they got all this money for all this AI technology. But how is it that part of JD Vance, that company JD Vance is part of Palantir or something like that? Where they make a profile of you off all the information they have off of you and all your social media profiles and internet activity to guess your personality and predict your future movements. And then with AI, they can also control the data that's fed to you, see how you act to it, and start to learn how to kind of control you without you even knowing it's being done to you. So at the same time that's going on, I still do kind of wish that it's just like another Y2K, another 2012 Mayan calendar, just another, they keep saying it's gonna go to shit and it never does. But I have to be reasonable. They own some bullshit and they're about to try to do something crazy. The sun is really beautiful. It's not so bright. It's not so blinding. There's so much clouds in the sky. It's early enough in the morning. It's orange. I really wish I would have dropped my lighter. I can't believe they ain't got a backup lighter in my pocket. There's probably one in the side of the door. Yep, I got one. I always had to keep a lighter in my trunk, just in case I was to need to make a fire, to make some charcoal, to filter water, or if I needed to cook. I always want a lighter with me. But I always want something else in every location that I'm at normally. That's a magnifying glass, because really, a magnifying glass ain't gonna run out like a lighter will. As long as there's the sun, doesn't matter if it's winter time. I mean, you're limited to day, but once you get a fire going, you can have embers that you keep overnight. Or you can make other fires off of the fire you make, your initial fire. But you should probably in a backpack, in your billfold, in your truck, somewhere where you could get to it easily. Everybody in the world should have a magnifying glass in case things did go real crazy. Because your matches and your lighters are going to run out. And you can, for your whole life, if you're careful with it, make fires off of a magnifying glass. You just focus. You face the one side of the magnifying glass to the sun, and you get closer and back away till you get that spot of light as small as possible. You want to concentrate as much light to as small space as possible. And then you can make a fire. Now I wonder, we find Egyptian glass jewelry and Roman glass jewelry. I wonder if the ancient Egyptians might have used to have had magnifying glasses, had machines, like maybe held and focused a lot of magnifying glasses to one point. Maybe they just use like sunlight to cut stone. Probably keep a few fishing hooks. That spot between Alamo and Glenwood, or it might be right before you get into Glenwood. There's just this one spot where so many crows like to go to drop seeds for people to drive over them and crack them open. And one of them crows, he was about to just stand in the road between me and the other car coming, because he knew he wouldn't get hit. But when I got close enough, he stopped being that brave. He's like, I'm going to fly away just in case. I have seen crows stand right on the other side of the white line when they're a chicken leg on the side of the road or something. And cars go right by and then not even flinch and just keep eating. And that one morning, he kept moving I don't know if he had an acorn. I don't know what he had. I don't know if he had like some kind of snail or if he had some kind of seed. But he kept picking it up and moving it, trying to put it right in front of where my truck tire would be so I'd crack it open. I'm already too close to work. About to be going by the damn school. How to start a fire without a lighter. Wade just sent me a message. I can't look at it right now. I tell you, he sent me a lot of videos with a lot of information in it. And I should probably make some videos about the information in those videos. What do y'all think about Bitcoin? I thought seems like it's always going up, but I think BlackRock has the majority of it now. And I don't trust it, but maybe I should have trusted it. My friend Sage, when it was almost nothing, I don't know, it was like a few dollars. It was like, you should buy this. And I invested in other stocks, mostly at that time precious metals like silver and gold. And I just didn't know anything about Bitcoin, so I didn't want to invest in it. But I should have probably listened to him. But I don't know if it's still the time to invest in it. I don't know. I know that Bitcoin, it's easy to track every transaction that anyone ever makes. It is decentralized, but there's like a receipt. There's like a tracking on everything. The government would love something like that. A lot better than just serial numbers on cash. But at the same time, like everybody can mine it. Also, there's like the first account. I forget that dude's name. Some Japanese sounding pseudo name. Don't think it's a real name. Satoshi or something. He's got a whole bunch of money in his account, and nobody really knows who he is. He could sell it off all one day, and it just lead to a Bitcoin crash. But maybe it wouldn't crash because enough people hold it, and even firms have started to hold it. Why they turn there? This road, I was almost at work, but they done stretched out this road. Oh no, here we are. I'm at work. Not at work. I'm about to be in the turning lane to be on the road to turn in to be at work, but I'm pretty much at work. It took too long to get my coffee and my wrap rung up at the store that I wish I hadn't even stopped. I was ahead of schedule a little bit, so I'm like, I got time to stop at the gas station, and then I did not have time to stop at the gas station. And that little bit of time made a difference in how many cars were on the road too. This morning, I this on. This must be raining here.
Oh, it might be somewhere else.
On the first long old Eric country road I started on, somebody, I think the truck was overheating. It was going very slow, but they eventually, and then it was in a passing lane, but they eventually pulled over and let me drive around them. Thank God. They were taking a long time, more than they needed to take. Have a good morning. I'm about to have to get off this thing because I'm going to work. Got to build America.